Hey everyone, this is the playthrough of Deep Space D-6, a solitaire print and play game for a contest on BoardGameGeek. So the first thing that I have here is the threat deck, and these is going to be full of the cards that I have to defeat. We have the shield meter here, and the hull, and these trackers will track how much of each of those you have. And then I have my crew dice, as well as the enemy threat die. So the first thing you're going to do is draw two cards to start the game, and on these cards it will show the health of the enemy, the effect of the enemy, and the dice that will activate the enemy. So the Raiders have 2 health, so I'll start them along the health track at 2. And for the second enemy, the Space Pirates, so same thing, they're also on 2. Okay, and I start my turn by rolling all of my crew dice here. Okay, and each of these dice represent your crew, and you can assign them to different stations to do different functions. So right now, starting off, the medical officers don't really help me much, but I did roll 3 tactical dice, which are very good for destroying threats. So I will assign them to my weapons here, and they do 1 damage plus 2 damage for each additional die used. So that is a total of 3 die. So that's going to be a total of 5 damage. So I take one of these down by 5 each. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and I actually just got rid of all of them right there. Okay, so these go back into the return section. Now I'm going to draw another threat, place it where it belongs, and then roll a die to see if it activates. Okay, I got a 5, and it didn't. If it was a 1, it would have activated this meteoroid. So now I'm going to roll the crew. Okay, so I have 2 tactical die, 2 medics, which again don't really help me now, an engineer that will repair the hull, but my hull is at full, so I don't have to worry about that, and a command die, which actually lets me change any die to anything I want, an unassigned die to any phase. So I'm going to turn this one into a tactical and do another 5 damage. Doing 5 damage to the meteor destroys it, but the meteor has a special ability that when it's destroyed, you lose 5 hull. And anytime you lose damage, you're going to go to the shields first. So I'm going to drop the shields down to 0, and then lose 1 hull. Alright, and we'll restart again. And I draw a new card, and I've got the assault cruiser, and I'll roll to see if he attacks. Alright, so I rolled a 2, and the assault cruiser does activate on a 2, so I lose 2 hull, and now I'm down to 5. So right now I'm going to roll my crew, and I hope I get some engineers to help me repair my hull. Okay, so I have 1 engineer. So as soon as you place the die, you can go ahead and perform the action. So I'll repair 1, and I can recharge my shields using a science die. So that goes back to full. Now I have medics I can't use, but these 3 will help me out. I'll use the science has a special ability called the stasis beam, and what you do with this is you place this die on any threat, and if that threat would activate in the next phase, it wouldn't because it is in stasis. But I also have these 2 tactical dice, and I'll use them. That's a total of 3 damage, bringing the assault cruiser down to 1, while he's still in stasis. Alright, so now I'm going to draw another card. This is a Don't Panic card, so there's actually a fixed number of these in the deck, and it makes the game easier because a threat doesn't appear. And I happen to be playing with 3 Don't Panic cards, which is, I think, a normal game. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and roll my crew again. Again, lots of medics, those useless medics. None of these really help me, but I can activate my commander to change one of these science die to a tactical and destroy this assault cruiser. Alright, let's keep on going. We got a bomber. Alright, so a bomber activated, and that will do 1 damage to my hull. Alright, and it also sends a unit to the infirmary, so I'm just going to pick any unused one and send it to the infirmary. Now, units here in the infirmary, I don't get to roll during the crew dice phase, so he's unavailable to me. And in order to get him out, I need to assign a medic to the medical station to help him out. So here we go. Okay, so the first thing you do is assign these threat die to the scanners here. And then when I get 3 of them, I'm going to draw a new card. So this is a pretty good roll. I got a little bit of everything. First thing I'm going to do is assign a medic to the medical station and pull my die back into the return so he comes out of the infirmary. Then, because I want to go ahead and get rid of this bomber right away, I'm going to use this commander to turn this engineer into a tactical die and do 2 damage. I could have just left him and repaired a little and done a little bit of damage here, but I really want to get rid of this bomber because he's very dangerous. So I turned him into a tactical die and I do a total of 3 damage, which is enough to get rid of him. Alright, now let's draw another card. So this is an internal threat, which is this square icon here represents that, and these go on the left side of the board, and they just kind of sit around in case they get activated by the same die. So I'm going to go ahead and see if it activates here. That's a 4, and it does activate. So the invaders have me send a unit to the infirmary. So the guy I just pulled out, I'm going to send him right back in there. So now I have 1 unit in the infirmary, and I have 1 here in the scanned threats, which gives me only a pool of 4, so a little dangerous. But my ship is in good condition. Okay, I have another threat there. I've got a medic, so I can pull this unit out of the infirmary, and I have 2 science die. You can't really use stasis on the internal threats, so I'm not going to bother with that, but I will recharge the shield just because I have it. Okay, now we draw a new card. Oh, another Don't Panic card, so that's really lucky. Alright, let's roll now, see if anything activates. And a 4, of course. The invaders activate and they send another unit to the infirmary. There we go. So now I'm down to just 3 dice. But we're still okay because the ship's in good health. Okay. So I'm going to use this medic to, again, pull my guy out of the infirmary. And I don't have enough tactical to get rid of the invaders, but I will lock this tactical in. And hopefully on my next roll, I'll get it and I'll be able to get rid of him. And there's nothing I can do with this science, so I was keeping them returned. Let's draw another threat. This is a drone. Alright. Alright, I rolled a 6, and we're safe. So, nothing bad happened. I'll roll the available crew, and again, this guy's locked here, so I can't roll him. If I wanted to get him off, I could, but I'd rather keep him there, and hopefully I can get rid of that threat. Oh, okay, so as soon as you get 3, go ahead and draw another threat card and place that. And then these go into the return section. So I have an engineer, which I'll use to repair 1 hole. And the medical die, that doesn't really help me right now. So again, it's a wasted 1. Now we draw another card. And then we've got hijackers. So it's getting kind of scary. So the threat rolled a 2, which activated the invaders. So 1 of my die goes into the infirmary. And now I will assign my crew again. Hopefully I get that tactical to get rid of the invaders. Okay, not so great, but I got a threat here, but because I really need to get these guys off of here, I'm going to use this commander to change this medical crew into a tactical, and that will have me complete this. So I'll send that away. And I'll use an engineer to repair the last bit of damage. Now we draw a new threat. It's assault cruiser. And let's see if anything activates. Alright, so I've got a 4, which activated both of these enemy threats. So the hijackers go first. It always goes top to bottom, left to right, starting with the external threats. So I lose 2 hull from him, and another 2 hull from the assault cruiser, bringing my shields to 0. Alright, let's see what I can do to get rid of these ships. There we go. That's a good roll. I got 3 tactical. So 1 damage, plus another 2, plus another 2. That's a total of 5. And I got a science. So this is a great roll. I can recharge my shields completely. And I can distribute this 5 damage anyhow I'd like. So I'm going to get rid of the assault cruiser here, so that's 4 damage, and 1 for the drone here. So I still have space pirates and hijackers to worry about. Alright, so let's draw a new threat, an interceptor, and see what happens. I've got a 4. So that activates the hijackers and the interceptors. So that's a total of 3 whole damage. Not bad. Luckily I was able to recharge my shields. So let's try this again. Oh wow. 2 immediate threats show up, which is another card. Oh, don't panic. Nothing happens. Good. Goes back to returned. Now I have a commander here, and I'm going to go ahead and turn this one, use the commander to turn this science die. Instead of recharging my shields, I'm actually going to just turn him into a medic and pull this guy out of the infirmary. So I have all my crew back. Alright, that ends that phase, and now we draw a new threat. So this is cosmic existentialism. So this basically means I have to complete this before I can assign any science die. Alright, let's see if anything activates. I got a 6. Nothing activates. Good for me. Now let's roll our crew. Alright, I got 2 threats immediately show up. Now I'll use this science die to get rid of... I can't recharge my shields until this one's complete, so I'll go ahead and assign them here. Complete that task and send them to returned. I'll use my tactical die to fire and do 1 damage to the space pirates. And I'll use both of these to recover these scanned threats. So each one I assign here, I can pull 1 of these down back to my return to full. So that way they don't turn into a threat eventually. Okay, now it's time for another threat. I've got raiders. Alright, let's see if they activate. 2. 1 interceptor does 1 whole damage. So we're still good. They haven't hit the hole yet, just our shields. So hopefully if I roll some shields here, we'll be very safe. So I think I've been making some good choices. Alright, so place the threats immediately. The first thing I definitely want to do is recharge the shields to play it safe. Then I have all these medics, but I will use 1 to return this. And it doesn't look like these are going to help me much right now. So let's just move on to the enemies phase. Another drone. Let's see if they activate. On a 1, I've got an interceptor, which does 1 damage. Space pirates, 2 damage. And raiders, 2 damage. Alright. Here we go with threats. Always good to recharge your shields with the science die. I have a tactical officer, and I will use the medic to pull this one down, and the commander to turn this die into a tactical. So I've got 3 damage to distribute. So I think I'm going to attack the raiders first because they have a nasty ability where they can ignore the shields, but I just remembered that I forgot to do that last round. But let's just go ahead and get rid of these guys. So that's 2 damage, and then 1 I will use to get rid of the drone, and we're ready for another threat. More raiders. They just keep on coming. You know, I rolled a 2, which is 1 whole damage from the interceptor. There we go. And we're ready to go. Okay, got some shields here. Definitely want this tactical. These go here. But I'll use the medic to pull this guy back down. This medic won't help me here. So let's just recharge the shields, fire weapons, do 1 damage to these raiders. And then I will put a stasis on the raiders because they ignore shields, and that's kind of scary. And this die I won't be able to use. So keep them in the return. Let's go ahead and draw a threat. Distracted. So when this comes out, you immediately place a crew here on this question mark space, and the moment you roll a 4 or a 3 on the threat activation phase, he will come back. Or if you can't wait, you get 2 medics here and bail them out. So let's see. Oh, I've got to roll threat. 3. So 1 whole damage, 2, total of 3 damage. Oh, and look. So I'll take 3 damage, but this distracted card activated, and this guy is no longer distracted. So that wasn't so bad. Alright, let's go ahead and roll our crew again. Here we go. I've got 2 threats on scanners. Whoops. There we go. Let's recharge the shields. And I've got, so right here I've got, I could use this medic to pull one of these back down, but it'd also be good if I transformed him into a tactical so I can do 3 damage, because alone, if I were just to do tactical weapons, it would just do 1 damage, and I really want to take advantage of that bonus. So I'm going to go ahead and transform that medic into a tactical officer and do 3 damage, which allows me to get rid of both of these. So this one for 2, and this for 1, clearing out the enemies. Alright, it's a pretty good choice. Hopefully that threat isn't something too bad. Oh, another flagship. Wow. Let's see what activates. A 6. So we've got flagship doing 3 damage. Alright, time to roll. Oops. Here we go. Oh, and there's another threat. So I'm going to pull that out. Oh, this is a Don't Panic card, so it looks like I had 4 in the deck. So the game's actually on easy. Those are returned. I've got 2 commanders and 1 science officer, so I'll go ahead and recharge the shields and use one of these oh, actually, you know what? I've got 2 commanders, and these hijackers require 2 to defeat, so that was really lucky. So I'll go ahead and assign them there. Move these guys over. Those guys are now returned. Oh, looks like we're doing great. So now there's a friendly fire. This will take all of my tactical die and send them directly to the infirmary, but I didn't play any last round, so this card actually did nothing. See if they activate. And 2 activates the interceptor, doing 1 whole damage. There we go. Now let's get our crew going again. See who reports for duty. Okay, lock this in. I could make use of 1 engineer for sure to repair. I'll use a medic to get this guy back. Let's recharge the shields. And fire my weapons for 1 damage against the flagship, because he's way more dangerous. Okay, let's draw a new card. An interceptor. 3. 1 whole damage, 1 whole damage, total of 2 damage. Alright. Let's see what we can do. This is a lot of tactical. I've got 2. Let's recharge the shields right away. And use this commander to transform this die into another tactical. Here we are. A total of 5 damage. So that's 3 here. And let's do 1 each. Pull them down. This die won't do anything for us now because our hole is full, so it's wasted. Space Pirates. And roll the 1, which is total 2 hole. Alright. I got threats. I got 1 of everything. That's pretty good. So what's the best way to do this? Let's use the shields. Always good to recharge the shields. Use the medic to pull this guy down. And I think we know what we're going to do here. We're going to transform this engineer into another tactical. To a total of 3 damage. Get rid of this Space Pirates for 2. And bring the interceptor down 1 further. Alright. Bring it on. Boarding ships. This guy's actually pretty easy. He looks scary, but he only takes 1 tactical die to get rid of. So, let's see what happens. We've got a 6, and nothing happens. Excellent. I think this was a recover die, yeah. So I'm hoping to get some tactical here because our shields and hull are great condition. So I got no tactical. Great. Let's transform that one into a tactical and get rid of this boarding ship immediately. Oh, I can use this to stasis one of the ships. They look like they both have the same odds and they do the same damage, so it doesn't really matter which one. And that should do it for this round. Let's go ahead and draw another card. Solar Winds. So Solar Winds are a special card. They're an enemy threat, but they can't be destroyed because they don't have a health. So basically, they're going to sit around, and when you roll a 2, it's going to do 5 damage to your hull. So it's inevitable. The best thing to do is just plan for it in advance. So let's see what happens. 5. So this guy would normally activate, but because he's been put in stasis, he doesn't activate. Instead, just the Intercept will activate and do 1 hull damage. Alright. Time for crew. Wow, I've got 4 threats showing up. So the first 3 go, and they reveal a threat card, which is comms offline. So I can't assign any more commanders until I use an engineer to solve this. So those are returned, and the one I rolled was there. And I've got 2 medics. One I can use to pull this back, and the other, it's not going to be able to do anything for me. So let's go ahead and draw an enemy. And boost morale. This is actually a positive card, so whenever you roll a 6, you'll get a scan threat back from the scanners, and then this card will be discarded. Alright, so let's roll. I've got a 5. That activates both of these, total of 2 damage. Still not too bad. Let's see our luck. Wow. 3 threats. Again, an instant enemy appears, and it's a bounty ship. So these guys are scary because they'll destroy your shields whenever they activate. Speaking of shields, let's recharge ours. These are returned, and these medics can't do anything for me now, so time to draw another card. Cloak threats. Another special threat. So whenever this card activates, you're going to roll the die again. So it just increases the chances that something's going to activate. And for ships that activate on 2, it potentially means they can attack twice. So very, very scary. Let's see what we got. Oh wow, a 2. So the first thing that happens is these solar winds activate, and I lose 5 hull. So it takes me down. Now the bounty ship will activate and destroy my shields, and I don't have any, so I can't. So I lose 1. Then the interceptor activates, 1 hull damage, and this interceptor activates for another hull damage. Now the cloak threats will activate, and I will roll the threat die again. And I rolled a 5, so now the interceptor activates again, and this one activates again, bringing me down from full health all the way down to 2. Things got a little out of hand, didn't they? Here we go. Okay, I can't assign my commander until I get rid of these comms, so I'm going to assign my engineer and solve that crisis. I'm going to spend a medic to get this guy back. And I think the best thing I can do is transform this into a tactical, total of 3 damage, and just get rid of this interceptor completely. No, that is not the best thing to do. I realize I really need to I'll transform this guy to a science officer, recharge my shields, and just do 1 damage to the interceptor here. So, because either one of those guys only do 1 damage, but I could get rid of him in 1 hit. That one would take me 3 this turn. So I'd rather get some shields, because if I rolled a 2, next threat round, I'd be game over. So let's draw another card. That was a good choice. Robot Uprising. All right. This card will send a unit to the infirmary on a 1, 2, or 3, and I need to solve them with an engineer. So here we go. I got a 3, which means the interceptor activates. I lose 1 hull damage, and then the robot uprising happens, and one of my units goes to the infirmary. Alright, let's get him out of there. 2 threats. Bad. I've got a medic, so I can either use him to pull my guy out of the infirmary, or bring one of these down. I think, and I have an engineer too, which I can repair the hole or solve the robot uprising, and I think I'll get rid of the robot uprising, because that's a very dangerous card, as you just saw. So let's use the medic to pull this down, because I'm really worried that a threat's going to come out. And then we can just use the tactical to do 1 damage to the interceptor. Alright, that's all our actions. Let's draw another card. A panel explosion. So now I can't assign my engineers. Anything activates. We got a 4. 1 hull damage from the interceptor. And I think we're good. So let's keep going here. This guy's still stuck in the infirmary. So I only have 4 crew members. Alright, lots of command. 2 medics. So I can use 1 medic to pull this guy back, and another medic to pull that guy from the infirmary, leaving me with 2 command die. It's probably a better way to do this, but I'm going to go ahead and transform one of these commanders into another medic and get rid of this panel explosion. So that's all of them. And we're ready for another threat. This is the Nebula. So this is one of the scarier cards. So the Nebula will take your shields offline. So as long as this Nebula is around, I cannot use my shields. But every turn, there's a high probability that it's going to go down and eventually pass in about 3 turns. But it happened to take down my shield when I had no hull left. So hopefully this isn't the end for our ship. Oh, I think I gotta roll this first. Sorry. That's a 3. So the Nebula does go down 1. The Interceptor does 1 hull damage. And I'm barely hanging in there with my 1 whole ship. So luckily this roll was pretty awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and repair 3 of those die. And that's a total of 5. Bring me back up to 6. And then I think it's best if I can't repair my shields, so there's no point. I was going to transform one of those die into a science officer to repair my shields, but I can't while this is out. So I'm actually going to, what I should have done was transform this guy into another engineer and do repair even more. So that's 4 total engineers. So all my guys are working crazy trying to get that taken care of. So I'm left with a medic, which doesn't help me. So let's see what threat comes up next. I got a bomber. This is a 6. Nothing, nothing, nothing. And boost morale activates. So I can return a scanned threat and then discard this. Well, there's no scanned threat, so it's just a discard. But I'm still happy that I got a 6 because nothing activated. And now we're back in action. Alright, so a threat is detected. I can't do anything. I really need to get rid of that Nebula, so what I'm going to do is command this. I'm going to command this die into a tactical. Do 3 damage to the Nebula, which makes my shields come back online. They come back online at 0. But I have a science officer ready, so he's going to recharge my shields. And I'm going to use my medic to return this guy. So that was like a perfect roll. And we're almost done with this deck. I think I'm actually going to make it through. So now a scouting ship shows up. Scouting ships, whenever you lose a hull, whenever you lose hull points, you will actually lose an additional hull. I haven't figured out the wording on this yet, but the maximum amount of points you can lose from this is 1. So just anytime you lose hull, the scouting ship does an additional damage. You don't lose a hull every single activation. So let's Finish the fight. A lot of medics. That's great if anyone was injured. Don't have too many options. So let's just put a stasis here on the bounty ship because I don't want it to destroy all my shields. That's a good idea. These medics can just hang out and talk about medicine. And the engineer can just clean his ship. Right, let's keep going. Time warp. Okay, so the time warp, whenever this activates, all the threats will go back in time and recover 1 health, basically. So I might just kind of ignore it unless I keep rolling those 2s. That was a 3. And the bomber activates, so 1 hull damage, and it sends a unit to the infirmary. The interceptor activates, and I lose 1 hull. And the scouting ship activates because I lost a hull this round, so I'm going to lose an additional hull. And that's it for now. Got a detected threat, some engineers, no good for us right now, and these medics. So I'll use the medics, 1 for this and 1 for this, get them both back. And that'll be the end of that. Let's draw a new card. We've got a pandemic. Interesting, not the fun board game, but a pandemic aboard the ship, which will send units to the infirmary anytime a 1 is rolled. 4. We've got a bomber that activates, so I'll send a unit to the infirmary and do 1 hull damage. Interceptor, 1 damage. Scouting ship, another damage. And that's it for those. We're almost to the end. So this is good. This is good. Recharge the shields immediately. No questions. 2 tactical. Before I activate that, I'm going to have one of these transform into 3 tactical. Total of 5 damage. So I'm going to get rid of this bounty ship for sure. That's 4. And I can do 1 more point of damage. Do it to the bomber. Alright. Second to last threat. Another bomber. Here we go. 3. Interceptor activates. Bomber activates. So 1 to the infirmary. And we're safe from this one. No internal threats activate. Good. So here we go. You can see the light at the end of the warp tunnel. Threat. A medic would be nice now because I can get these guys back. Let's recharge the shields. So it might be a good idea to destroy something here, but I think I'm going to take a chance. Transform this guy to a medic. Get my crew back. And push forward. So let's see what the final threat is. Corsair. So now that the deck is depleted, in order for me to win the game, I need to defeat all of the remaining external threats. I don't have to do the internal threats to end the game. They still affect me, but I don't need to beat them to end the game. So let's focus on these threats. I rolled a 5, which is 1 hull, 2 hull, minus 3 hull total, plus 1 from the scouting ship. Alright, onward. Threat shows up. Got 2 shields. So let's return our shields to maximum. Let's lock one of these out. Lock this powerful bomber out. And then I will I kind of want to repair. Yeah, let's just do a repair. So that'd be a wasted commander. But I'll lock him in here just in case. I don't want to waste him completely. So let's repair 1 hull and push forward. Roll a 5. 1 hull damage. Locked. 2 hull damage. and 1 for the scouting ship. Alright, we're almost there. I'll leave that guy locked. And a threat appears. Well, that actually has no effect because we're all out of threat cards, but we still have to put him there to deny our dice. I have a science officer, but I could use him to help get rid of that cloaked threat, but I could also use some shields. So let's just recharge the shields because I'm more concerned about these, and I'm gonna go ahead and get this guy back because I think I'm gonna not worry about those cloaked threats. I'll regret that if this is a 2 though. Okay, 4. One hole, and send someone to the infirmary, and 2 in the infirmary, and 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 damage, 7 total. That is 4, and another 3. I'm down to 4 hole. This was a mistake. Let's keep going. I only have 4 crew here. Threat shows up. I need those shields for sure. So let's recharge my shields. Let's fire some tactical. Just 1 damage. All I need. Here we go. Activate the threats. 6. Lucky me, 2 damage. Some breathing room. Still only have 3 crew. And another threat. And I'm running the risk of running out of dice, which will cause me to forfeit the game. So I'm going to have to make a desperate attempt to recover my men out of the infirmary. Brave men and women. So I commanded this die to become a medical, and I pulled these guys out of the infirmary. And we're ready to see if a threat activates. A 6. That was really good because only the Corsair activates, which is 2 and 1 from the scouting ship. Now we're ready again. So, we got a threat. It doesn't happen. That's actually good. Medic, science. Recharge the shields. Another science. Let's lock. The Corsair's been doing a lot of damage. But these bombers will send my units to the infirmary, so I need to block them. If I roll a 4, I could be doomed. And this medic is not going to help me. Let's see what happens. A 6. Oh, I should have blocked the Corsair. So the Corsair does 2 damage plus 1, total of 3 damage. And we're ready to go again. My crew's back in action, ready to save me. This whole time I haven't rolled a 1 or a 2, otherwise some really dangerous things will occur. Alright, this is what I want. Got two tactical. Let's have the medic return this one, and the commander transform this guy into another tactical. A total of 5 damage. So 1 for this, 2 for this, and 2 for this. So the most I can lose on any turn now is 2 health from the hull and the scouting ship. So I think we're gonna get through this. 3 activates interceptor and a scouting ship. Total of 2 damage. Oh, I'm barely gonna make it. I've got 1. I've got 2 hull left. Okay, this looks like we're gonna extend it a bit. Some shields. Double engineers. That's 3 repair. And a medic to pull the guy back. Yeah. Okay. So I think we're relatively safe here. Gonna lose 2. It's just a matter of time unless these activate. Or that happens and I get those threats are not gonna bother me. Two medics. Let's take a tactical. do 1 damage. And continue. 3. Total of 2. Yep. Alright, let's keep going. Alright, I think we are coming to the end of this game. Commander, tactical, 2, 4, 6, 7 total damage. That is 3 and 1, and I am a good captain. So luckily none of these happened to activate for me, otherwise it would have been disastrous. So that's the game, and I think I'm sitting at about 40 minutes into that game. So I hope you give it a shot and try it out, see how far I can get. Thanks for watching.